Welcome back to Good Vibe Entertainment, your ultimate destination for all things EA college football. I'm thrilled to bring you today's video, where we will dive into the toughest places to play, the top offensive teams, and the top defensive team rankings. This is video 6 out of our 7-day countdown series leading up to the release of EA college football on July 19th. If you're a fan of intense rivalries, powerhouse offenses, and dominant defenses, you're in the right place. For the sake of time, I will be covering the top 10 in each category rather than the top 25. If you want to check out the full list, I will link the full rankings list EA dropped down in the comments or in the bio. Before we get into it, please make sure to pancake the like button, tackle the subscription button, and sack the notification bell. First up, the toughest places to play. Starting off, we have Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Swamp at Florida. Max capacity 88,548. The stadium can reach a whopping 115 decibels at its loudest. The Gators hold a home record of 300 wins, 110 losses, and 4 ties. Because of its humid conditions, the Swamp is one of the hardest places to play in college football. Before we continue, let me explain the decibels for a second. 100 decibels is about a jet. It's about as loud as a jet flying over your head at 100 feet. 110 decibels is like if you were to stand right next to a jackhammer. 120 decibels would be like a like the thunderclap of like thunder. And then finally, I think the highest we have here is like 130. That would be like a shotgun firing right next to your face. Next, let's talk about Doak S. Campbell Stadium at Florida State. Max capacity of 79,560. This stadium can hit about 110 decibels. The Seminoles hold a home record of 315 wins, 98 losses, and 4 ties. Fun fact, the war chant actually originated here at Florida State, and it is a tradition among Florida State fans. Moving right along to Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. Max capacity, 86,112. This stadium can reach around 110 decibels. The Sooners boast a home record of 406 wins, 84 losses, and 15 ties. Fun fact, named in honor of the tragic event, this stadium holds a special place in Oklahoma football history. Next up, at number 7, we have Camp Randall Stadium at Wisconsin. Max capacity, 80,321. Known for its historical significance, the stadium can hit about 115 decibels. The Badgers hold a home record of 446 wins, 139 losses, and 21 ties. Fun fact, built on a Civil War training site, it adds a unique historical touch to Wisconsin football. Next up, number 6, and my personal favorite, Beaver Stadium. With a maximum capacity of 106,572, this stadium can reach 110 decibels at its loudest. I bet you that is not completely true. I think it can get louder in there. But based on my research, it's 110, so we'll go with that. The Nittany Lions hold a home record of 307 wins, 79 losses, no ties. Fun fact, one of the largest stadiums in the United States, I think it's number 2, State College, the city or the town that Beaver Stadium is located in, becomes one of the largest cities in Pennsylvania, behind Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Isn't that crazy? State College usually has a population of about 40,000, but on game days, it reaches close to 120,000 plus. Next up, at number 5, Sanford Stadium at Georgia. With a max capacity of 92,746, the stadium can get as loud as 113 decibels. The Bulldogs hold a home record of 410 wins, 110 losses, and 9 ties. I couldn't find a good fun fact for this stadium, so I found that it is surrounded by hedges, so that gives it like a pretty unique look. Moving on to number 4, Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe. With a max capacity of 102,780, the stadium can reach around 110 decibels. The Buckeyes hold a home record of 460 wins, 111 losses, and 20 ties. Fun fact, the script Ohio tradition with the dotting of the I is a very big moment for Ohio State fans during game day. At number 3, we have Tiger Stadium in Death Valley, LSU. Max capacity of 102,321. The stadium can reach a record-breaking 130 decibels. The Tigers hold a home record of 415 wins, 155 losses, and 18 ties. Fun fact, known for its intense atmosphere, opponents often find it challenging to play here. I mean, no wonder. 130 decibels, that's so loud. Plus, the Death Valley heat? Nah, ain't for me, son. At number 2, we have Bryant-Denny Stadium in Alabama. Max capacity, 101,521. The stadium can reach 115 decibels. The Tide hold a home record of 286 wins, 55 losses, and 3 ties. Fun fact, one of the loudest stadiums in college football, Bryant-Denny Stadium, is synonymous with Alabama's football dominance. Finally, at number 1, we have Kyle Field at Texas A&M. The max capacity is 102,733. This colossal stadium went under a $485 million redevelopment project back in 2015. The loudest recorded volume, a staggering 117 decibels. And they hold a home record of 347 wins, 158 losses, and 19 ties. Moving on to the top offensive programs in college football. Starting off with number 10, we have the Clemson Tigers with an 87 overall rating. Clemson averaged 31.5 points per game, scoring 44 touchdowns, totaling 3,115 passing yards and 2,240 rushing yards last season. Next up, at number 9, we have the Missouri Tigers boasting a 89 overall. Missouri averaged 32 points per game, scoring 48 touchdowns with 3,310 passing yards and 2,210 rushing yards last season. Next up, at number 8, we have the Colorado Buffaloes adding 89 overall. The Buffaloes averaged 32.6 points per game, scoring 44 touchdowns with 2,960 passing yards and 2,050 rushing yards. Next up, at number 7, we have the Miami Hurricanes at 89 overall. The Miami Hurricanes averaged 34.4 points per game, scoring 53 touchdowns, totaling 3,100 passing yards and 2,025 rushing yards. Coming in at number 6, we have the LSU Tigers at an 89 overall. LSU last season averaged 35 points per game, scoring 51 touchdowns with 3,275 pass yards and 2,215 rushing yards. Next up, at number 5, the Ohio State Buckeyes with an 89 overall. Ohio State averaged 39.1 points per game, scoring 66 touchdowns with 4,045 passing yards and 2,780 rushing yards. At number 4, we have the Texas Longhorns, boasting a 91 overall rating. Last season, Texas averaged 34.5 points a game, scoring 58 touchdowns, totaling 3,458 passing yards and 2,267 rushing yards. At number 3, the villain, Alabama Crimson Tide at 91 overall. Alabama averaged a stunning 41.3 points per game, scoring 69 touchdowns with 4,212 passing yards and 2,913 rushing yards. Wow, domination. At number 2, the swaggiest team in the NCAA, the Oregon Ducks at 94 overall. Oregon averaged 36.7 points per game with 54 touchdowns, totaling 3,510 passing yards and 2,880 rushing yards. And last but certainly not least, at the number 1 spot, at a 94 overall, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia averaged 38.2 points per game last season, scoring a total of 61 touchdowns, and they racked up 3,784 passing yards, and 2,569 rushing yards. Lastly, we have the top defensive programs in college football 25. Kicking it off with number 10, we have the Utah Utes. With an impressive 88 overall rating, they've allowed just 23.7 points per game and racked up 29 sacks this last season. Sliding into the 9th spot, Penn State University, home of the Nittany Lions. They boast an 88 overall rating. They held opponents to just 17.1 points per game and forced 19 fumbles. At number 8, the Texas Longhorns bring their A game with an 88 overall rating. They tightened their defense to 22.3 points per game and notched 28 sacks. Moving on to number 7, the Michigan Wolverines, with a solid 90 overall rating. Their defense allowed just 19.9 points per game and forced 17 fumbles. In the 6th place, we have Notre Dame Fighting Irish, also boasting a 90 overall rating. They held opponents to 20.2 points per game and recorded 30 sacks last season. Breaking into the top 5, we have the Clemson Tigers. They have a 90 overall rating, and they stifled offenses to just 17.8 points per game and made 36 sacks. At number 4, we have Alabama Crimson Tide. They're coming in with a 90 overall rating, and their defense only allowed 17.2 points per game and forced 16 turnovers last season. At number 3, the Oregon Ducks. They boast a 90 overall rating, and they held opponents to 23.5 points per game and logged 32 sacks. At number 2, we have the Georgia Bulldogs with a 94 overall defensive rating. They allowed just 13.6 points per game and forced an impressive 24 turnovers last season. And lastly, at number 1, we have the Ohio State Buckeyes. With a crazy 96 overall rating, they held opponents to just 16.8 points per game last season and led the nation with 45 sacks. And there you have it, guys. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for video 6 of 7, where we break down the power rankings and highlight the top players in the game. If you enjoyed this content or content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. Thanks for watching, and like always, stay vibing, Good Vibe Nation, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace!